Opeth and Light Switch. This is Steve Wright in the afternoon. So this is the way it's going to go. We got news at 4, then we got sport, then we got travel, then we got the jocking. United Kingdom, across the earth, this is Radio 2 on the BBC Sounds app, on your smart speaker, and on 88 to 91 FM.
BBC News at 4 o'clock. This is Nick Qureshi. New figures suggest COVID-19 infections in the UK have risen by 32% in a week. 2.3 million people had the virus last week, about 1 in 30 of the population, the highest figure since late April. The figure in Scotland is 1 in 18. Professor Sir David Spiegelhalter, a statistician from the University of Cambridge, says Omicron is driving infections.
It's driven by new variants, BA4 and BA5. It's interesting, it's not being driven by children this time, which it has been previously. It's actually highest in adults, partly because pretty well all kids have had it. We know from the COVID infections antibody survey that 95% of primary school and secondary school children have had the virus.
Downing Street has insisted Boris Johnson was not aware of specific allegations against Chris Pincher before he appointed him as the Conservative Party's Deputy Chief Whip. Mr Pincher resigned from the government last night after allegations he'd groped 2 men in a private members' club. Parliament's longest-serving male MP, the Conservative Sir Peter Bottomley, said Westminster had seen many scandals in his time.
I think we ought to try to set an example when we can. When we get it wrong, we should say so. And you want to avoid having a parliament that's only made up of church mice and flashers. You know, the person who's embarrassed when they're caught doing something wrong and resigns, I think should be respected. But if you only have people who are scandalously open about their behaviour, or those who never get beyond the pew in the church, you'd have a parliament which is a bit weaker than the one we want to have.
In the next hour, police officers in Scotland are to withdraw all goodwill work in a pay dispute. The Scottish Police Federation says members won't turn up early for shifts or work beyond their scheduled hours unless directly ordered to do so, in which case they'll claim overtime. The rail union, the RMT, has said it's not in any rush to call for further strikes this month after walkouts caused disruption across Britain last week. The union has been holding talks with Network Rail as they try to reach an agreement to avoid more action. The family of Zara Alina, who was killed in East London as she walked home last weekend, have been paying tribute to her. 29-year-old Jordan McSweeney has been charged with her murder and has been remanded in custody. Her aunt, Farah Naz, said she was loved by everyone.
The one word that would describe Zara, if I had to use one word, I would say independent. That was what she valued more than anything, her independence. She was quite different to the rest of us because Zara didn't have fear. She really didn't have fear.
Pope Francis has said the United Nations has no power to resolve the war in Ukraine. In an interview in Spanish with Argentina's national news agency, he said the UN's constitution doesn't give the organisation the power to stop a war or to resolve conflict. And EastEnders' first ever drag queen is due to sashay onto Albert Square as a regular character. In a video posted to the show's social media, fans were given a sneak peek of Tara Missou, played by Matthew Morrison. BBC News, it's 3 minutes past 4.
Thank you, Sport. Now here's Sani Rudra-Vajala.
Thanks, Steve. Heather Watson has beaten Kia Juvan to reach the 4th round of Wimbledon for the first time. She'll face German Yulia Niemeyer in the 5th round, which is the furthest she's ever gotten any Grand Slam before. In the men's draw, a 3rd round, Novak Djokovic is playing fellow Serb Mijana Kecmanovic on centre court. He's taken the first set 6-love and currently leads 3-2 in the second. British number 1 Cameron Norrie follows their game against American Steve Johnson. In cricket, England have made a great start after putting India into bat on day one of the rearranged fifth test at Edgbaston. A little time ago, India were 160 for 5. Matthew Potts has taken 2 wickets with Jimmy Anderson taking 3. The visitors lead the series 2-1. Alfa Romeo's Valtteri Bottas was fastest in first practice ahead of the British Grand Prix. Mercedes' Lewis Hamilton was second and Ferrari's Carlos Sainz third in a rain-affected session. And Richarlison says no words are enough to thank Everton fans after he completed a £60 million move from Everton to Tottenham.
Thanks, Annie.
Steve Ray in the afternoon.